It is one of the most daring and devastating Ukrainian attacks on Russian troops since the start of the war. Tonight, President Zelensky said his forces used 117 drones in strikes on Russian air bases from deep inside Russia itself, targeting warplanes, including strategic bombers.
Across various regions of Russia, partisan groups are staging anti-war demonstrations. Citizens united in their opposition to Vladimir Putin's authoritarian regime and his war of aggression. Their goal is simple: bring an end to the war, swiftly and decisively. For 4 years, this war has dragged on, yet the Kremlin appears detached, with Putin remaining unmoved. But Ukraine's bold Operation Spiderweb may have finally shaken the foundations of Moscow's confidence. The operation was so devastating that even Russians, conditioned by state media propaganda, are beginning to ask difficult questions. For years, Kremlin-controlled outlets have mocked Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, labeling him a comedian, a drug addict, and even mentally unstable. But those same Russians are now asking, if he's so incompetent, how did he manage to wipe out a third of Russia's strategic bomber fleet? This isn't speculation. Listen to what Russians themselves are saying. We underestimated him. One Russian analyst admitted, Zelensky, his intelligence team, this was no joke. They used cheap drones powered by artificial intelligence, executed through courier networks. It was a high-risk, high-reward operation, and they pulled it off with surgical precision. The cost to Ukraine? Minimal. The damage to Russia? In the billions. Even senior figures in Russia's own intelligence circles are stunned. One report highlighted that the Ukrainian operation had been in development for over a year. Every move, every variable, every strike point had been calculated in advance. It wasn't just effective, it was audacious. We weren't prepared for this kind of attack, said one frustrated Russian official. Our security apparatus didn't even consider such a possibility. Now we're in disarray, uncertain of which trucks may be weaponized or what infrastructure may be targeted next. Operation Spiderweb exposed the vulnerabilities in Russia's rear logistics and military-industrial complex. It showed that no target, no matter how deep behind the front lines, is safe. This isn't just about drones, said a Russian commentator. It's about a system built on innovation and coordination, and Zelensky, or at the very least his team, deserves credit for it. Before we go further, don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay informed on major geopolitical shifts like this. Now, back to the impact. Russia hasn't recovered. Just look at their highways today. Miles of trucks stuck in bottlenecks, everyone being inspected for hidden drones. It's paralyzing the already fragile Russian supply chain. And here's the kicker. The truck drivers involved in the attack had no idea they were part of a military operation. They were transporting what looked like ordinary structures, containers, prefabs. They didn't know they were carrying precision strike drone systems. Without realizing it, they became participants in one of the most humiliating moments in modern Russian military history. Even former US President Donald Trump reportedly couldn't hold back his reaction. According to insider sources, he called Ukraine's drone strike badass in private conversations, though he feared Putin's retaliation might be severe. We'll get to that retaliation shortly, but first, here's a rare glimpse into internal dissent within the Russian military. In a leaked video, a Russian commander can be seen venting his frustration. Our bombers, Tu-95s, Tu-22s, have been obliterated. This is a disaster. And what is the government doing? Nothing. Every day we lose regiments, and the technology is meant to screen threats. It's not working. We are bleeding men and resources. The government doesn't care. This level of public criticism is almost unheard of in Putin's Russia, but clearly the cracks are widening. Under increasing pressure, Putin responded, not by addressing the Russian people, but by picking up the phone and calling Trump. The two leaders spoke for over an hour. Here's a portion of the readout from Trump's now deleted statement. President Putin stated in strong terms that Russia will respond to the Ukrainian drone attack. We also discussed the situation with Iran's nuclear program, but the focus was clearly on Russia's retaliation plans. The fact that Trump deleted this statement shortly after posting it raised eyebrows. He rarely removes anything from public record. The move signaled that something serious, and perhaps volatile, was brewing. When the retaliation did come, it was brutal, but not in the way many expected. Russia didn't go after the Ukrainian military infrastructure. Instead, it struck civilian areas, homes, subways, and commercial buildings. Over 400 drones and more than 40 missiles were launched at Ukraine in one night. In Kiev alone, 4 people were killed and 23 were injured. In Lutsk, 15 people were wounded, including in strikes on apartment blocks, government buildings, and private homes. The message from Russia was clear: if you humiliate us, we'll hit back, not militarily, but by terrorizing civilians. This is in stark contrast to Ukraine's precision strike, which focused solely on military air bases, and even pro-Russian military bloggers are furious. One of them wrote, "If this was our response to losing a third of our strategic bombers, then it wasn't very helpful. Ukraine raised the stakes, and we slapped civilians. That's not deterrence, it's desperation." Indeed, Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb marks the most devastating strike against Russia since World War II's Operation Barbarossa, and yet Moscow's response has followed the same predictable playbook: target the innocent, avoid the military confrontation they can't win. In the United States, the geopolitical fallout was immediate. Germany's new president visited the White House and joined Trump in urging stronger action against Russia. He said, "Ukraine is the victim of aggression. Russia could end this war overnight if it wanted to, but only strength can bring peace, and that's why we're standing by Ukraine, militarily, politically, and financially." As diplomatic pressure builds, so does the legislative momentum. Senator Lindsey Graham confirmed that the new Russian Sanctions Act 2025 is ready to deploy. Among its proposed measures, 500% tariffs on Russian petroleum products, severe sanctions targeting Russia's petrochemical sector, one of its last major revenue sources. And in the middle of all this, a different kind of war is also unfolding, one on digital platforms. As for the Russian people, they're growing restless. Anti-war protests are growing, particularly in regions like Dagestan, Bashkortostan, and Tatarstan. Soldiers' mothers are openly questioning military leadership. Even loyal oligarchs are quietly moving assets abroad. Putin faces pressure on all fronts. And in the digital world, another war is unfolding: the battle for influence. YouTube recently announced it's paying creators a staggering $64 million per day to keep up with exploding demand. Videos on geopolitics, military analysis, and world news are surging. Even those with under 1,000 views are now going viral. That means if you've ever considered launching your own YouTube channel or growing a faceless news page, this is your moment. We've opened a free YouTube bootcamp to help you get started. It's limited to 100 spots, so use the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. Because just like in war, the information battlefield is about timing, precision, and the will to act. The world has entered a new era, one where billion-dollar bombers are destroyed by $1,000 drones, where empires are shaken by innovation, and where the voice of one person, one creator, can be heard across the globe. Don't miss your chance to be part of that change. The world is changing fast, on the battlefield, in politics, and online. Whether it's through drones, sanctions, or content, the fight for influence has never been more intense.